I've got two topics to discuss today to give some thoughts on. The first is going to be Star Wars Battlefront 2 and the loot crate or microtransaction system in that game and what's resulted of the harsh criticism that EA has received from that. And then the second topic is going to be about the first expansion for Destiny 2, the Curse of Osiris expansion. So I'm sure that all of you, if you pay any attention to video games, know about the absolute shitstorm that has been surrounding Star Wars Battlefront 2. I briefly touched on it in my beta video a few weeks back. They have this loot crate system. Inside of the crates, you can get these star cards, and the star cards are essentially the progression system for the game. And in that beta, they said that this is not representative of the final game, so I kind of reserved judgment on it. I said that this could potentially become a problem, and it certainly has for the vast majority of the player base. So you had infamously that post on Reddit, the reply from the EA community team. It had like minus 400 dislikes on Reddit. It's probably up to like 500,000 at this point. So everyone is just absolutely furious over this system. They're very mad about it. And then there's a component of it that really didn't get revealed until the EA access of the game went live about a week ago. They decided to lock classic heroes like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Now, the big talking point that I've seen circulating around online is that it takes 40 hours to unlock one of these heroes, and I played the game on the Origin Access trial for about 4 hours, and I logged back on when the parts economy was rebalanced. That was one of the first things they did to try to appease the fan base. And when that happened, I was actually able to unlock Darth Vader with 4 hours of gameplay. I believe I had like 59,000, a little under 60,000 parts before the rebalancing of the economy. And when I logged back in, I did not have 60,000. I had like 22,000, 25,000. Whatever the amount was, it was more than enough for me to unlock a hero. So this 40 hours thing, I don't know how that math came about. That was not the case for me, but I'm not disputing that this is like still a bad thing. I think it's crazy that they have like the most iconic Star Wars characters locked in the base game. The only time I would understand like locking a hero like that behind a in-game currency wall is when this free DLC comes around. If they add a new hero like that way players that have been playing can use their saved up currency to buy the new hero the second it's available, and those who don't play as much or simply like want to spend money on crates can hope that they get enough parts to unlock it. I think that seems like at least a semi-reasonable way to monetize that free DLC. But to have a character like Luke Skywalker be locked by default in the base game, I just cannot understand that. I think that's totally unreasonable. In regards to the star card system, I'm the kind of player where I just go in the game and I like when games have complex systems like that or any kind of like upgrade system like that, I generally don't pay attention to it until like 20 hours into the game. I'm there to shoot stuff and play as well as I can, and I don't think about that stuff. And for me, I did not run into any player where I'm like, oh hey, this guy totally killed me because he had a star card, but that does not change the fact. I mean, it's a fact that you were able to spend money to gain an in-game upgrade, and were those upgrades significant enough to make an average player better than a good player that wasn't spending money on them? In my experience, no, but that possibly could have been a real problem. And people were clearly not happy with that system, a lot more unhappy with it than I was. And as a result, EA has decided to drastically change their game as a result. So to those of you who persistently voiced your concerns, congratulations. We now know that something even as large as an EA Star Wars game can be changed if the outrage is large enough. But before you get too excited, which I don't think anyone saw this and said, oh, okay, cool, I'm going to go buy the game now. No, everyone was very skeptical of the message that EA put out. So here's the full message. I think it's important to read this carefully. I don't think it's very well worded. As we approach the worldwide launch, it's clear that many of you feel there are still challenges in the design. We've heard the concerns about potentially giving players unfair advantages, and we've heard that this is overshadowing an otherwise great game. This was never our intention. Sorry we didn't get this right. We hear you loud and clear, so we're turning off all in-game purchases. We will now spend more time listening, adjusting, balancing, and tuning. This means that the option to purchase crystals in the game is now offline, and all progression will be earned through gameplay. The ability to purchase crystals in-game will become available at a later date, only after we've made changes to the game. We'll share more details as we work through this. Now, what's important to note here? The important thing is that this is clearly temporary. They have every intention of bringing the crystal system back. In what form, when, is anyone's guess. So what do I think of this? Well, I think it's very telling of, they wouldn't just do this purely because of bad PR. I mean, that was probably 75% of it. But there has to have been some evidence that maybe pre-orders were not where they would have liked them to be or something like that, because there's no way that they would scramble like this. I mean, they were clearly scrambling when they first rebalanced the economy, and then now this. And like I said, before this news came out, the ability to purchase crystals was just like magically gone. So I think it's really telling of what's going on behind the scenes. It's very interesting too. I mean, I don't think I've seen something as high profile as an EA Star Wars game, appear this vulnerable like this. It's very interesting. So aside from when these crystals are going to come back, the other questions I have are, how are they going to make money now? Are they going to bring back a season pass? I mean, it seems like a lose-lose situation for EA unless they can quickly implement some sort of skin or other cosmetic system. And that's the grand irony here. The whole thing that they did with this game, they thought they were going to make the fans actually happy by doing this instead of having a season pass, and it's backfired so horrendously. But I think that if they were able to switch over to some sort of skin system, that a lot of people would be very happy. I mean, for fuck's sake, this is Star Wars. You've got droids, you've got clones, you've got stormtroopers. It's just ripe for making hundreds of skins. I mean, you could make a stupid amount of skins, and even people like me who don't normally care about that stuff would be happy to buy these if they used like cool extended universe stuff. You could get Republic Commando skins for the clone troopers, just stuff like that. Now, doing something like this, again, going to take some serious time. Now, lucky for them, this is Star Wars, so they've got heavy Disney involvement. Maybe even Disney might be funding this game. I don't know how that works, how that relationship works, but I doubt that Disney is enjoying this bad press since they signed that exclusivity contract with EA for Star Wars games, and this is only the second game, so the relationship is not off to a good start, and I'm sure that Disney will do everything in their power to at least attempt to turn it around. And this whole situation, I think it's very unfortunate. You won't find anyone who hated the first game more than I did. I would call the first EA Star Wars Battlefront unplayable. I really think it's that bad. And this game, I'm actually having a good time with it, but it really has been just completely overshadowed by this whole controversy. And now that this happened, I'm so happy because now I can review the game without this overshadowing that. But I guess there still is the shadow of, this system is some kind of microtransaction system is gonna find its way back into the game in the future. And I guess when that happens, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there. Now on to Destiny 2. So Curse of Osiris is coming out on December the 5th, which is very early, a lot earlier than anyone was expecting. And if you're playing on PC like I now am, it's a nice thing to note that it's not going to be delayed on PC, which is fantastic. And in typical Bungie fashion, they first put out a trailer at a Sony event, and now they're going to do the live stream stuff. And they did the first live stream this week. So what are the positives about Curse of Osiris? Well, I like that we're finally seeing these legendary characters that were previously only present in the Grimoire cards, or in the case of Osiris, only present in name in the actual game. Now, what I don't like is how this appears to be the slimmest expansion since the Dark Below. Aside from what appears to be a Viced exotic grenade launcher, the exotics that we've seen so far in screenshots and trailers in the live stream seem to be all returning from Destiny 1. The other thing that is returning in this is the Heroic Strike playlist, and they're going to bring that back, and you knew this would happen. You knew they would bring back features that used to be there and then act like they're heroes for doing it. So I'm not even going to give praise to that, because it's like that was a feature that was in the game for years, and then they took it out for Destiny 2 base, and now they're putting it back in a DLC. It's ridiculous. But really, I couldn't care less about the small stuff like that. I do care about new gear and stuff like that, but really the big thing for me about a Destiny expansion is, alright, what's the raid going to be? We're getting a new Vex raid finally after the first one was Vault of Glass. So we're going to get a Mercury Vex raid, right? Wrong. No new raid in this. We're getting an expansion to the Leviathan. A raid activity is what they're calling it now. I believe they said it's actually going to be smaller than the original Leviathan, which itself, ironically, felt to be a tad on the small side. Now, I really think that Leviathan add-ons should probably be free to purchasers of the base game, and this could have been a really good thing, actually. It would have been a nice way to bridge the gap between the two expansions. Instead, we're essentially not getting a new raid until September of next year, which is a massive disappointment for those like myself who were enthused by the return of these smaller expansions. I mean, when I heard that this was the way things were going to be, I was actually in disbelief. I'm like, no way they're actually going to do that. So you're going to have a Curse of Osiris, an Osiris related DLC, and then the Anna Bray related DLC. That's the next one in spring of next year. And these two things have absolutely nothing to do with the Leviathan. So you're going to have these two expansions and then two Leviathan add-ons. The Leviathan is already stale for me, and I can't imagine how stale it's going to be after we get two more fucking add-ons to it for the next year. I mean, I really think that this is bad to the point where even remaking the Vault of Glass or reimagining the Vault of Glass would probably be better than doing the Leviathan add-on. So this does not bode well for Destiny 2 at all, and the community seems to be very upset as well. I mean, is it possible that the story will be so good, that the potential new gear will be so good, that the new strikes will be so good that this will be a great expansion and be better than the base game, and the add-on to the Leviathan is going to be just dandy, it's going to be the best? No, I think there's a 0% chance of that. I think this is going to be an utterly disappointing DLC. I think we're all going to be very bored with Destiny until the next big expansion comes out, which is a damn shame. If you have any thoughts on these two topics, let me know down below, and until next time, thanks for watching.